Alright, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Nina. And in my opinion, this is one of the hardest characters in the entire game. And there is good reason for it. She is also one of the best characters in the game. So let's just get into what makes her so good and what you need to know in order to beat this character. Alright, let's get into the gameplay overview. Nina basically is a master of everything. There is nothing that this character can't do. While she does have weaknesses, a good player is going to be able to overcome a lot of these weaknesses. So her tracking is pretty poor, but does that matter when you have back 2-2 and you have down back 2? This is a counter hit launcher, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. This is a counter hit launcher. And because it's slow, this can actually be a good thing if you're playing like really high tempo. So if you're doing a lot of poking and you're doing a lot of this, if your opponent is like waiting to see what you do and then contest, you can just blow them up with this. It being slower can actually be a good thing in a lot of instances. So her homing moves are really good. It doesn't really matter as much that her tracking is good. She also has some of the best poking in the game. Her down forward 1-2 string, she shares this with Anna, and Nina doesn't get as strong of a mix-up, in my opinion, because she can't heat engage from here, at least not easily. She can do this, but that's very, very slow. And it has zero tracking to either side. But she has some pretty great stuff here, you know? She has her slide. She has her while standing forward. This is very, very fast. If you block this, contesting can be rough because the while standing forward will blow you up. She also has her down forward to 1-2-4, just like Anna does, except Nina's is a little bit better because it's a counter hit launcher. So that's pretty good. She has her down back 3. This is a great low. It's +4 on hit, on counter hit. This is guaranteed. Great stuff there. She has her down 2. This lets her run a full crouch mix. And also on counter hit, this is guaranteed. So that's good stuff, especially because this wall splash. Really, really, really good stuff there. And then just her down forward 1-2 string, you just have a lot of mix-ups from here. You can also sidestep out of it and run a sidestep mix. You see these frames? +23 on hit. On block, this is +10. Yeah. Nina's ability to lock you down is unmatched by any other character. Her pokes are just too good in a lot of ways. Now, wielding these pokes is a different story, because again, Nina is almost certainly the hardest character in the game. There may be a few exceptions, but it's very, very difficult to play this character. Well, we'll get into that, but just to show us some examples, here is one of her combos. I'm actually going to put the notation on screen and then commentate over what is actually happening, because this combo is that hard for just a regular whatever down forward 2 launch that isn't even that good in terms of damage. But like, this just goes to show what our execution's like. Alright, so I'm going to explain the parts of this combo where you can actually drop it, because again, a lot of people don't even know how hard this is. So, playing at half speed here, the beginning of this combo is pretty normal. Here, when you do the down forward 3-2, once the 2 connects, you need to press down back 2. Like, you have a couple of frames to do it. If you're too fast, nothing will happen. And if you're too slow, she will actually start to sway, and then you'll drop the combo. So you see here how she doesn't sway at all. That's how you know that you did it right. This is very hard to do. I can't do this consistently. Then you have to micro dash here to get another down forward 3-2. And again, with the sway 4, you need to sway, but you need to hold the sway for like a couple of frames. If you do the sway any longer than that, then this combo drops. This ender here isn't too bad, just a CD 4-3-1+2, but this is really hard. So I hope that explanation kind of goes to show just how tough this character can be to get damage out. Now, there's obviously some easy stuff going on here. Something that a lot of low-level players will tell you is that this character is a nightmare to play against low-level players, because she has the best strings in the game, period. If you do not know this character's strings, you will die to it. For context, last season, I was Tekken God on Lily. I have never played Nina before in my entire life prior to recording this video. And I got Tekken King, which Tekken King last season is probably around Tekken God this season just because of all the rank inflation. But I got Tekken King last season with Nina without knowing a single combo. What I did on Nina was I did this string, I did this string, I did back 2-2, I did down forward 1-2-4, and then just down forward 1-2 into a random button. I did down back 3, and I did wipe the floor. That was all I did, and that was good enough to get to Tekken King, because the reality is that these strings are so insane to deal with. When I was doing that climb, not a single person duck and launch this. Not one. So when you have strings this good, it makes her a noob stomper. But because of how hard she is, it actually means that there's like a weird dip in her win rate where she is 53% win rate at God of Destruction, but basically everything before that, she's like 49% because she is so hard. And most Nina players are just not going to be able to get really big damage, which means they're going to have to take a lot more risks. They're going to have to do a lot more poking, which means a lot more opportunities to get launched by someone else mashing, right? So hopefully this shows some of the difficulty. Just as like a fun thing, I'm going to show you what some optimized Nina combos will look like. I didn't do any of these because I'm not good enough to do them. So I had a friend do them. Her name is Mercy by Degrees. You could check out her Twitch in the description. But this is what optimal Nina looks like. So yeah, you can see what optimal Nina is going to look like and how crazy some of her damage can be. But even if you don't have ultra crazy execution, one of her other big positives is her counter hit game. Back 2-2, this is an insane string because on counter hit, this whole thing is guaranteed. Back 2-2-2 for 50 damage. Not only that, this is wall splats for 86 damage. I think you get 87 if you stomp it. That's absurd damage. Remember this string? This is guaranteed on counter. 82 damage. Her string game is nuts, and her counter hit game is nuts. For forward 3, this is a +3 on block high. This is a counter hit launcher. For back 4, this is a -9. This is like a weird button to use. There are a couple of setups that you're going to use. This is a counter hit launcher. A lot of people just don't know that. So yeah, insane counter hit game, insane poking, insane damage if you have the ability to execute on the damage. And she does come with her weaknesses, but yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at here. This character does pretty much everything. And oh, she also has an orbital. I don't know why she has that, but that's besides the point. She has everything you could ever want in a character if you have the ability to pull it off. She also has really good punishment. Did you know that she can wall splat and heat engage on -11? It's pretty good. First pro we're going to talk about is her punishment. Nina's punishment is incredible. There's no other way to say it. Her punishment is insane. So let's just get into it and just show what we're dealing with. On 10, her 10 frame is a little weak in that she either only gets really good frames or only gets okay damage. She cannot get both. So she can get 22 damage and +1 with 1-4, or she can get 1-2 sidestep for 15 damage and +11. Which is very good, as I'm sure you know. On 11 frames, she has down back 1+2. This is an 11 frame heat engager. She gets this guaranteed. This wall splats. Yeah, that makes this probably the best 11 frame punish in the entire game, being a wall splatting heat engager. Really, really good stuff there. On 12 frames, we have back on 4. This is +7. Great stuff there, 32 damage. On 13, she doesn't really have a dedicated 13 frame punish. But if you block something that's specifically -13 and you want to run a mix-up instead of getting your max wounded damage, she can do down forward 1-2 forward for +7 and 20 damage, or down forward 1-2 side for +6 and 20 damage. So yeah, she can do that if she would rather take the mix-up, but she doesn't technically have a 13 frame punish. On 14, we have forward 3+4-1. This is a mix-up with her 4-3+4-2, but 4-3+4-1, this also heat engages, it also wall splats, and it also gives guaranteed power. So great stuff there. And on 15, we have down forward 2. She has a safe down forward 2, so it cannot launch crouch. If she wants to launch crouch, she has her back 1+4, which also has decent range. Doesn't have amazing range, but it has good range and tracks her weak side. Turns up her whiff punishment. We have back on 4. Again, it's a good whiff punisher. It has okay range. She has her down forward 2. This has poor range and poor tracking, but if someone like whiffs in your face, or if you sidestep, then you know sidestep down forward 2 is good stuff there. We also have down back 3. This is an infinity range normal hit launcher. This hits from insanely far away, and yeah, if you get hit by that, you're not having a good time. You're taking like 110. This is -17 on block, but because its purpose is to whiff punish, I think that's okay. Finally, we have her forward 4-2. This is an infinity range mid. Yeah, this move hits from insanely far away, and it's a heat engager, and it is a heat dash launcher. I don't know the combo, but I don't need to. I'm not even need to play. Finally, let's show her crouching punishment, and our crouching punishment is pretty good too. We have wall standing 4. It's just a normal wall standing 4 +7, 15 damage. This is a string. The string, none of it is guaranteed, so you can duck after the wall standing 4 and just duck and launch all of that if you think the Neo player is going to do it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. This is just good wall standing 4. On 13, we have a wall standing 1, 1+2, which wall splash from very far away, and it also just does really crazy damage, especially if she's in heat. If you're playing Brian and you do a hatchet kick, 91 damage because she blocked a hatchet kick, and your back was like halfway across the screen from the wall. It's pretty insane. Very, very good wall standing punch, especially if she's in heat. On 15, wall standing 2, normal 15 frame launcher, and the down back 3+4. She can do this from crouch with wall standing 3+4. If she blocks any wall that's -18 or worse, normally that's going to be a house sweeps, then yeah, she gets a huge damage launch there. Her punishment is absurd. Up next, let's talk about Nina's lockdown. As I said, she has some of the best poking in the game, and this is supported by a lot of fake strings where, you know, she'll do this into a mix-up and like, this isn't real, you have ways to get out of it, but it's also backed by a lot of very real pressure. So if she does, you know, a down back 3, this is a +4, it's 13 frames, this is uninterruptible. You can't press here. You know, like you can armor, of course, but you can't press like a normal button because she might do this, and that's just a frame trap. And if this hits, you have to hold a mix-up on +7, which is ultra annoying. She has stuff like her down 2. This is an instant high crush low that is minus, you know, it's 0 on hit, but this also has a counter hit property. So if she expects that you're going to do a high, she can just do this. And now, because of the flip over, you have to hold a mix-up, where she can do a slide. She can run a safety heat engager, or she can just run up and do another down back 3. And then now, again, you're in a situation where you might have to block. She might try to frame trap you. You know, you'll try to press on this down forward 1, and the last hit is a counter hit launcher. Right? So pressing there is really scary. Same thing with her back 2-2. So if she does a back 2-2 into sidestep, then yeah, this is -10, but what if she finishes the string? All of this stuff is why her pressure is so good, because all of these strings have follow-ups. Even if the follow-ups aren't super good, a lot of them are, by the way, but even if the follow-ups aren't super good, the fact that there is a counter hit launch and follow-up on the last hit is really annoying. And you would think, oh, well, a lot of these last hits are just highs, so I'll just crouch jab or something. Yeah, you could try that, but what if she doesn't finish the string? She just does back 2-2 into the low parry, right? Now you're eating a low parry combo. Pressing against this character is very scary. And, you know, a lot of it is real, you know? Like her sidestep 1, this is +10 on block. And yeah, she is in this sway, so she can use a lot of her crouching moves. She can sidestep out of sway. So she can do something like this, where she does sidestep 1 back, sidestep back 2-2, and yeah, she loses that +10. It turns into, like, you know, basically a reset to neutral, but she's immediately using a homing button. So even if you try to sidestep an option, there's a homing button there, and it's a fast one too. It's 12 frames. So yeah, incredible lockdown. Some of the best poking, if not the best poking in the game. Next, we'll talk about her counter hit suite. We have talked about a lot of the strings that end in counter hits, so we're not going to re-go over those. But, you know, she has this back four. This is commonly used in setups where you will poke someone, then you'll back four into Ivory Cutter, and this is, you know, that's a counter hit launcher. She has her forward 3. This is 14 frames fast. She can also use this as a 40 frame punch if she wanted to. The second hit is a counter hit launcher. Really great stuff there. She has her up 4. This is just a jumping axe kick with pretty poor tracking, but it's a 0 on block mid counter hit launcher. Down back 2, homing counter hit launcher. Wipe the floor. This is a counter hit launcher. Her down back 3 on counter hit guarantees this, so that is good damage. You know, that's 40 damage from a low that, while it is -13 on block, it's +4 on hit. That is great stuff. For a sidestep 4-2, this is a counter hit launcher. There's a bunch more that I'm missing. Her counter hit game is nuts. Oh, she has her 4-4-4. This is not a normal hit launcher, I don't believe, but it is counter hit launcher. That's a counter hit launcher. Her sidestep 1+2. This is also a counter hit launcher. This is very hard to pick up, but you can pick this up in a launch here. I'm going to show a clip of Mercy doing the combo for this. You can pick this up. Yeah, I'm sure that there's a bunch more that I'm missing, but her counter hit suite is nuts. She has a very strong counter hit game. Next, let's talk about her throw game. Nina has a full throw game. She has a lot more throws than you would expect for a random lady, but yeah, she has a lot of good stuff here. She has 1+2. She has a dedicated 1 break, and she has a dedicated 2 break. Beyond that, she also has chain throws. So from her sway or from her crouch dash, she has a 1 break. Now this is a 1 animation, so it's not a mix-up. She also has a 2 break. That is a chain throw. Yeah, she has chain throws. Now the breaks for these are either 1 or 2. So if you get hit by the first one, you know, the next one of the break is either 1 or 2. So there's not like a crazy mix-up like King has, but she has chain throws. She also has this throw from her backswing that is +6 on hit. This is also a chain throw, but a lot of high-level Ninas will do this, where you'll be mashing a break here, and then this will happen. So yeah, if you're like mashing your break and she just does nothing, you'll get counter hit by basically anything that she does, because you're trying to break the chain, but she's not actually doing the chain. So I get caught by this all the time because, you know, this is just, it's really high level stuff that you're not going to expect a lot. But yeah, and then in the neutral, she can do something like this. If you press literally anything there, which again, if you're mashing your break, you might end up pressing there, you just get counter hit launched. Really, really crazy throw game. She also has throws that burn your gray health, and she has a floor break throw. So, yeah, really, really good stuff here. Next, let's talk about her homing tools. We've already covered basically all of them, but just to do a quick recap, back 2-2, this is an insane button, just 30 damage, or I think it's 28. 28 plus 5 is really good, and it's a mix-up if she steps after the last hit. Last hit's also counter hit launcher. Great stuff there. She has her down back 2. This is a relatively long range counter hit launcher. I don't know if this has any built-in evasion, but it's a long range counter hit launcher. Really, really good stuff. Plus 8 on hit, and it's relatively safe on block. I don't think she's taking a huge risk here. Yeah, it's -5, so good stuff there. We also have her 3+4. This is -10, but look how much range it has. 0 characters in the game can punish this. A normal hit, it's +15 into crowd range. Really good stuff there. Then she has her 1+2. This is just a -3 on block, fast on homing mid. On normal hit, it gives +8, so nothing super crazy there, but these are really great homing tools. You know, it's hard to complain about tracking when you have homing buttons like that. For the final strength, let's talk about her strings. Nina has the best strings in the game, period. A lot of these strings, again, I've talked about this earlier and I showed a lot of them. If you don't know the answer to these strings, this character is gonna feel impossible to play against. Now, these strings aren't very good once you know what's happening here, but it's really strong stuff for the uninformed. You know, this string is just a low poke, but if your opponent presses on it, it's a little bit more than that, right? This is a pretty strong low poke if your opponent's back is against the wall. Where if they mash on this last hit, because a lot of times you can just do this over and over again, and yeah, you give up your turn, but you do that over and over again, and then you show them this. And now they're taking 82 damage, right? So she has that. She has Can Open, which is this string here. It's a high, low, high. Really scrubby string, but it's +5 on hit, and you can just send it. This is a flowchart that I did when I was playing Nina, where you would just do Can Opener into down 3-4-3. It's not a true flowchart, but if they do anything besides, actually no, because they can't even jab. If they do, because this high crushes. If they do anything besides crouch jab, they just get blown up, and you'll catch a lot of people with them in lower ranks. So really, really annoying strings. She also has, you know, her down forward 1. This has a follow-up. This has this high follow-up that counter hit launches. So, okay, word. I'll just duck it. Here's a mid. This mid gives guaranteed follow-up. And it wall splats on normal hit. Yeah, really, really crazy string game. Even her normal strings, like not the scrub killer strings, but her normal strings are obnoxious. We already showed this. This is obnoxious. Super, super annoying to deal with. Her strings are very, very good. You have to know her strings, otherwise this matchup's going to be a nightmare because she's just going to sit in your face and do strings all day. Alright, let's get into the weaknesses. There are not that many, but it is worth keeping in mind that she does have weaknesses. So let's just get into it. The first weakness is her execution. This character is almost certainly the hardest character in the game. Her execution demands are higher than any other character that I've played. Paul is a character who is really hard, and I can kind of do his combo semi-reliably now. I've been practicing these combos because I was thinking about playing Nina for like an hour a night for the last week, and I can't reliably do them. I can't do it. You know, and again, I think my execution is pretty good. A lot of the Lily combos I do are really high execution, but it's just a different level with this character. Even characters like the Mishimas who have electrics. I can do Reina's bread and butter, the electric into instant while standing 3-4. I can do that relatively reliably. But Nina's combos, I can't do them. And again, I'm God of just destruction. I would like to think I have pretty good execution. It's hard to play this character. Because it's so hard to play this character, there's a lot of damage that you're leaving on the table by just not being very mechanically inclined, right? You know, I showed you the down forward 2 combo, that's 72 damage. If you're not very good, you're getting something like this. And that is just horrible day damage. So, like, that's abysmal. But if you're not very good at Nina, that's kind of what you're getting. You're leaving 16 damage on the table by not having top tier execution. That's rough. So hopefully, you know, this is only one example, but you know, there's also stuff like her butterfly loops. I can't do butterfly loops. I've tried. I haven't tried enough, obviously, because I think that I could get it down if I really wanted to, but her butterfly loops are part of some of her longest wall carry options. If you can't do butterfly loops, there's a lot of stages where you either can't hit wall or you need to use resources to hit wall, and that's not great. So yeah, her execution is really, really crazy. And that's just talking about her combos. Let's put the combos aside and just talk about playing her in the neutral. Even in the neutral, you have some like pretty technical stuff here, where you can do like sidestep 1 back to sway, and then sidestep cancel out of sway into another sidestep. Like, this isn't real, of course. Like, this is not real. But doing something like this in the back 2-2 to cover your opponent's sidestep, that's hard to do pretty consistently. Like, if you're not really on it, then you'll get the wrong button and, you know, you'll be punishable. Or you'll just do something that you won't want to do. This character is very, very challenging to play, and it's why you don't see a lot of Ninas. Most of the Ninas are really high rank, because the reality is you need to be really good to play this character, at least mechanically. Not every Nina is the most sound fundamentally, but mechanically, you have to be good to get this character to a high rank. The next weakness, let's talk about her tracking. Her tracking, quite frankly, sucks. She has some of the worst tracking in the entire game if she's not committing to a homing button. Now, her homing buttons are very, very good, and she does have a lot of moves that are pretty good that will track her weak side, but her tracking's bad. So, in terms of her like good buttons that track her weak side, she has 1+4. This move is safe on block. You know, it's only a -5, and she can go into stance at -2. So, you know, there's nothing bad about this move. This is a great move. So, this will track her weak side, which is good. Her down 2 will track her weak side, which is good. And her 3+4, or her 4 through 3+4 will track her weak side, which is good. So this can either do the heat engage, or it can do the guns. The guns are typically going to be a little bit safer, but, you know, those are going to be her tracking. She can also use reverse ivory cutter if you're like hard calling out a step, but that's a little crazy, obviously. But so okay, those are her good options, or those are her tracking options. Pretty much everything else moves. You know, this is a lot of her like key buttons that are whipping. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that's whipping if you step left. Now, or if you step right, rather. Not only that, if you're playing Lily, Alyssa, or Zafina, you can actually step left, because what happens is step left evades all of these moves, and it invades all the moves that you're already evading with step right, but the moves that are tracking you are all highs, so you can step left duck and it'll beat literally everything. So like forward 3 into forward 3, a second forward 3 will track, which is also good, but forward 3 into forward 3, the first hit will whiff if you step left, but the second hit will track. So you duck and you can launch it. You also have moves like reverse ivory cutter. This first hit will whiff. So if you step left and you see the reverse ivory cutter, you can actually stand up in time to block and punish it. Yeah, her tracking is really, really bad. You basically want to go right in the neutral, and if you're playing Lily versus Athena, you want to step left duck, and you will beat literally everything. For the last con, we're going to talk about her over-reliance on highs and lows. Now, this is a character who a lot of her key pressure tools are going to be highs, where she has moves like her back four. You know, this is a counter hit launcher, very, very good. It's 14 frames fast, that's really fast. She has her back 2-2, this is a key tracking tool. She has her 4-4-2, this is a key pressure tool. She has her 4-3, this is a key pressure tool and it's a counter hit launcher. She has a lot of moves like this that are really, really good, but they're also highs. So she is very susceptible to getting high crushed and to getting, you know, just ducked and launched into neutral because of how good these buttons are. You also have moves where, besides her down back 3 and her down 2, basically all of her lows are launch punishable. Where she has moves, you know, she has this string, this is a low high. She has this, you know, you low parry. She has wipe the floor, where, you know, a common flow chart you'll see is down 2 into wipe the floor. 1, you can just step this, but 2, it's launch punishable. She has her sidestep 4-2. If she finishes this and you duck it, it's launch punishable. So yeah, she has a lot, you know, her slide is launch punishable. Her down 4-1, this is a key pressure tool. If you block the first hit, whether or not she finishes the string or sidesteps out of it, she is launch punishable. This character really has a hard time with people who just duck in her face, because she doesn't have great ways to launch them without taking pretty big risks herself. She does have her orbital, and she has her up forward 1-2, which you can hit confirm, which is nice. But her only real like mid poke is 1+4 and like forward 4. Like, she has other mid pokes, obviously, but if she's gonna like really call out a duck, she usually has to take a pretty big risk. And if you just commit to ducking anyways, you're usually gonna launch her, because again, unless she does this or this, all of her other lows and all of these highs that are so good, they're all launched on block. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's get into her stances. She doesn't have traditional stances, you know, like Reina or Marizo. She has her crouch dash, she has her sway, and her sway, even beyond the way that these aren't traditional stances, this isn't really a stance, it's just like a movement option she has. She has one button that comes out of sway, so, you know, she has that. And her sidestep, because of the way that it's used, it can be considered a stance, but these aren't traditional, I'm gonna, you know, strike a pose and then do a button. It's just she has movement options, and she can press buttons out of those movement options. So the first one we're going to talk about is her crouch shots, otherwise known as ducking step. Typically, she is getting in very, very plus or around 0. So like her 1+4 forward is a -2 on block, but on hit, it's +7. Then her down forward 1-2 forward is 0 on block, but on hit, it's +7. And then she has her down forward 3-2 forward. This is +3 on hit. It's also only -1 on block. She has her down 2 forward. This is -13 on block, up to launch punishable if she does anything besides armor, but it's +2 on hit. She also has 4-4-2 forward, +6 on block, and she has sidestep 1 forward, which is +10 on block, +23 on hit. So outside of the sidestep 1 and the 4-4-2, it is very plus on hit or around 0 on block. She also has her 3+4 forward, but on +6 you can just interrupt basically everything there. So yeah, good stuff there. In terms of her options, she can use all of her while standing buttons, so we'll talk about those a little bit later. But in terms of her specific options from the stance, she has her forward 1, which is a I-14 high. This is also a counter hit launcher, and it is +1 on block. So really good stuff there. She has her forward 2. This is a 16 frame heat engager, and it heat dash launches. So yeah, really a good button there. She has her forward 3. This is a waifu slide. So it's not a knockdown slide, but if she uses it in the neutral, it has insane tracking and variable frame data depending on how far away she is when you block it. Usually it's going to be around -20 on block and around 0 on hit, but at max range, it can be up to -11 on block and up to +9 on hit. So cool. Also, it's a counter hit launcher. All of these types of slides are all counter hit launchers, and they all have the same variable frames. We also have a forward 4. This is a knee that on a normal hit will guarantee this whole string. It's normally going to be seen as a combo ender, but you know, Nina players can use it in the neutral if they wish. It is a mid-high string, so if you get hit by the mid, you can duck the rest of it, and you can launch. Even after blocking the second hit, you can actually still duck, and you know, you'll duck the gunshots. Be careful when you try to launch the gunshots, because if you get up too fast, you will still get cooked by them, especially in heat. If you're curious, there are 3 gunshots outside of heat and 5 gunshots in heat. So count, make sure that you wait for the animation to be over. Up next is her forward 1+2. This is a jumping mid, 22 frames. Because it jumps, this will go over lows. Also, it's +4 on block. If she heat dashes with it, she will get a guaranteed follow-up. Great stuff there. She has access to all of her while standing punishes, which is good to know. So yeah, the notable moves are her while standing 1+2. This is a armor move that will all splats, 17 frames fast. Notably, it's -14 on block, so some characters can launch this. The only other move worth talking about is her while standing 3. This is a chain throw. The first 2 hits are guaranteed on the normal hit. You are allowed to break the third hit, but yeah, the third hit is either a 1 or 2 break. Only other thing worth talking about is if she does a crouch dash from neutral, she can actually go into full crouch by doing down, down, forward. Again, she has access to all of her while standing options, but she also has access to full crouch down forward 4, which is wipe the floor. This is a counter hit launcher, and on normal hit, this knocks down. It is stagger on block, and it gives a guaranteed follow-up. The guaranteed follow-up is actually pretty hard to do. For max damage, you need to crouch cancel QCF 2, but most of the time, you can just do forward 3 here, and it's worse Oki, but it's only 1 less damage, so you can do that as well. Now, in terms of the counterplay, the most common scenario you're going to see is blocking down forward 1-2. So that's like the biggest counterplay option we're going to talk about. After blocking down forward 1-2, sidewalk left is going to beat a lot of stuff. So on down forward 1-2, sidewalk left will beat everything except the wall standing 4. And the wall standing 2, it beats literally everything else. Yeah, that is literally every option. It also beats both of the chain throws. If you block down forward 1-2, you can sidewalk left. You will get away from literally everything besides the wall standing 4 and the wall standing 2. Now, wall standing 2 is a launcher, so I would be careful about that. Even on +6 or +7, like these are some pretty crazy frames. So off of blocking this, or off of getting hit by this, or off of getting hit by this, even on +7, which is really crazy frames to go into stance on, you're still getting away from CD2 and CD1+2 and slide. Now, if you think that those are the buttons they're going to use, you can still look for a sidestep. Personally, on +7, I'd be a little bit hesitant to block, but you know, it's up to you what you want to do. She can also get +10 from the sidestep 1. On sidestep 1, you can sometimes step this 2 option. It really depends. It's inconsistent on male characters. It's better if you're playing like Lily versus Zafina. You can get away from that reliably. You can still sidestep that and the 1+2, but you're taking a pretty big risk by stepping there because literally everything else hits you. So basically, on 0, Sidestep left is great because it's going to evade, you know, a lot of these options. Do note that Sidestep left does not evade the follow-up from down forward 1, 2, 4. And it does not evade down forward 1, 2, 1 plus 2. So do be aware of that. But you're evading a lot of stuff by just going left if she's transitioning around 0. Now, if you want to contest, it's going to depend on the moves that she presses. I would only contest after 1 plus 4 for forward, down forward 3, 2 forward. You should just duck that, but if you don't duck it, you can contest there. And down forward 1, 2. Those are the only times I would ever contest. The option that beats all of those is crouch jab. Crouch jab, it will beat everything with the exception of the heat engager because it's a judge jumping move, and the armor, which is unfortunate. You know, the heat engager is extremely linear. It doesn't track, as 0 tracking to either side regardless of frames, but it is very good for calling out a crouch jab specifically. So that is something to keep in mind. If you have a 12 frame mid, after down forward 1, 2, 12 frame mids will beat everything except armor and while standing 4. If you have a 13 frame mid, which most characters do, it will beat everything except the while standing 4, while standing 3, and armor. And that's on down forward 1. If she does down forward 3, 2 forward, then you adjust by one frame. So 13 frame mids will beat everything except armor and while standing 4. 14 frame mids will beat everything except the while standing 4, while standing 3 in armor. And if she does 1 plus 4 forward, then 14 frame mids will beat everything except armor. 15 frame mids will beat everything except armor while standing 4 and while standing 4. Next, let's talk about her sidestep. Now, in terms of how she's going to transition, basically on block, she doesn't have a single move that transitions like ultra plus into sidestep. That's just not really what this character does. If she wants to transition close to neutral or plus on block, then she has forward 4 sidestep, which is +2. She has down forward 1, 2 sidestep, which is -1. She has down forward 3, 2 sidestep, which is 0. And she has 1, 2 sidestep, which is 0. So yeah, on block, she's usually going to be around 0, but she can be up to +2. On hit, the frames are anywhere from like +4 to +12. So on hit, you basically never want to contest as a spoiler for your interaction. But yeah, on block, the best she's ever getting is +2 on block. In terms of her options, we have sidestep 1. This is the infinity mid. If she sways out of this, this is +10 on block, +23 on hit. It is a 14 frame mid. Good stuff there. Beyond that, she has sidestep 2. This is a 13 frame launcher. In the neutral, this is usually going to hit on frame 14, but if you're like contesting here, this is a 13 frame mid, so keep that in mind. She has sidestep 4. This is a +6 on hit low, which is very good. This is an insane button. She does recover standing, but +6 on hit low, -14 on block. She can also do sidestep 4-2, which turns this into a -7 jailing low high, or counter launch. However, if you duck it, it is now launch punishable. So do keep that in mind. And we have sidestep 1+2. This is a counterhit launcher. This is very difficult to pick up. I'm going to show what one of the pickups looks like. So yeah, that is a counter launcher. She also can pick this up with down 2 too, but it is much harder. So she can pick up with that. It's much harder, but she gets 6 more damage. It's very difficult to pick that up. Most of the time, you're not going to see it being used as a counter launcher. Most of the time, you're just going to see sidestep 1+2, 1+2, which is just, here's some chip damage, and I'm -9 with a little bit of pushback. That's usually what you're going to see. When she's in heat, it pushes back way more, and it's a full reset to neutral. Notably, she can also do her 3+4 from sidestep. So she does have a homing move out of that tech. Now, in terms of the counterplay to this stance, unless she's gonna do 3+4, even on +6, which is pretty insane. You know, you get +6 from this, and you get +6 from this. Even on +6, Sidestep left is going to beat all of this. So that's all of the mids, and while it won't beat this as low, the low, high, like you can just hold back and you'll block the high. But beyond that, for more advanced counterplay, you can Sidestep left duck, and that will beat literally everything unless she does the homing. Because you will still sidestep everything else, but then you also get to duck and launch the low, right? So, yeah. On +6 or worse, Sidestep left duck will beat everything except the homing button. If she hits you with her 1-2 into sidestep, or her forward 4 into sidestep, you just have to block. And the main reason is that she has a hard time like looping her offense from here. Now she can do a sidestep 1 into back, but it's hard for her to loop her offense from this. Or she can do sidestep 1 into forward. It's very difficult for her to like do this and then do another button, and then it's still her turn after the other button. So personally, if you get hit by these two into a sidestep button, I would just block every single time. Don't even worry about crouching unless it's, you know, your 1 pixel and it's guessed for every game. I would just stand block there. But yeah, if she's +6 or worse, Sidestep left duck is going to be insane counterplay here. With all of that being said, let's get into the strings, and she has a lot of them. First, we have the 1 series. She has 1-2. This is her one of her 10 frame punishes. We have 1-2-4. This last hit is a high counter hit launcher. We also have a 1-2-1, 1+2. This is also a high. After these 2 jabs, you can duck and it will evade both of those. Do note that if you see this like upward hand flip thing, you can't duck after that because that jails. So if you wait to see if this comes out, then it's too late, you can't duck anymore. So you can duck both of those. These can be mixed with 1-2, 1+2. This is a mid that it's just this move, but it's part of a string. Also, she gets a guaranteed follow-up here if you're fast enough for like 46 damage. So, good stuff there. Finally, this can all be mixed with 1 forward. Now, this is also a high, but ducking after like a jab is really hard to do. So I wouldn't... You can try to lab this if you want to, but this is really hard to do. Also, the 1-4 is a counter hit launcher. So, don't press immediately after a single jab. Just be careful with that. But yeah, that is it for the 1 series. If she finishes this, the last hit is -11 on block. Next, we have the 4-4 series. So this is 4-4, and then she can do 4-4-4, which is a low, or 4-4 through 3+4, which is this mid. These 2 highs don't jail. You can always duck and launch regardless of what ender she picks. Up next is the forward 2-1 series. It's a fully delayable high mid string with 2 follow-ups. If she stops after 2 hits, the string is -13 on block, but again, it is delayable. So this is a rarely common mix-up string. Also, this whole thing is a counter hit, and it's hit confirm. So you see the first hit counter hits, that you can just rip the whole thing. You're good to go. Now, in terms of the follow-ups, we have the 3 option. This is just a knockdown mid that is -15 on block, and we have this high that is -3 on counter hit. This high will knock down into guaranteed follow-up. So good stuff there. Because it's so delayable, and because the follow-ups are relatively punishable, at the very least, like, you can take your turn back with some faster moves, or, you know, use a quick homing move. You can do that after blocking the high. Because this is -13 and there's 2 delayable follow-ups, and because this is -15, personally, I wouldn't try to be a hero and like call out the mid or call out the high and just duck. Personally, I would just block here. It's not worth trying to be a Chad and guess what's going to happen here when it's delayable. And the forward 2-on-4, this actually has a decent property on counter hit. Like, you risk 46 damage there, or I think you risk 46 damage either way. I messed up the follow-up there, but yeah. Either way, you're taking like an okay risk there, and personally, I'm not going to try to call this out. I'll just take my turn back if they stop here and do nothing. I would take my turn back. Obviously, you want to punish this, and if you really feel like the high is coming out, you can try to duck here. Personally, I just never duck. It's not worth it. Next, we have forward 3. Despite being a single button press, this is actually a string. You can duck this. Now, to be clear, this is exceptionally hard to do. I have seen one player do this consistently, and it's Fighting GM. So shouts out to GM. That is the only person I have seen consistently duck this. I have not seen anyone else do it. So that's, you know, don't feel bad about not being able to duck this on a reaction, but I'm just putting it here to show you, you can duck this on reaction, and it recovers pretty slowly if you do. So you have a pretty long time to actually launch it. Next, we have the forward 4 series. So Nina can forward 4 into sidestep here, which is +2, and she has this high string. Now, the high string is something that you do want to duck because, you know, it's a free launch, but if she commits to a sidestep, even on block, crouch jab will beat everything regardless of what side you step to. With that being said, if she rips the high, it will actually counter hit your crouch jab. So do be careful about crouch jabbing here. Personally, what I do is I duck here, and then if I see the sidestep, I will just stand block. Now, because I am playing Lily, it's a little bit easier for Lily to get away from these characters, so that is something worth keeping in mind, but that's just what I do. It's really hard for Nina, especially because I do play Lily, it's really hard for her to do like this, and then after the sidestep 1, like keep locking me down. It's pretty easy for Lily to get away from that. So personally, I just block, but doing a crouch jab here is pretty good. Just be aware that this will beat a crouch jab. Okay, so now I have Nina on the other side because it's easier to show the counterplay. Next, we have her down forward 3 string series. This string series is interesting because all of the follow-up, so every second hit here is always going to be a high, but you need to be careful about the button that you actually press, because if it doesn't high crush, then you risk getting counter hit. So, for instance, I'm going to have her do her down forward 3, 2, 1 here. So you see here, because I use a launcher that doesn't high crush, I actually get blown up here. So like a better Nina, for instance, what they'll do is they'll just do the down forward 3, 2, 1 and not do the low, and then they'll get a float combo there. Assuming you have like a jumping move. If you have a normal one, they'll just get some jabs and it's not that big of a deal. But you do need to be careful there. In a similar manner, if she uses her down forward 3, 1, it's actually kind of hard to duck this, because if you try to duck it with the same cadence as the down forward 3, 2, you'll actually get like a sidestep. So what like this happens, where it's actually really hard to consistently launch this. So one, you can either get counter hit here, or you just won't get the button that you're looking for because you're like trying to sidestep or you're trying to duck and it's like putting in a sidestep. Like it's very weird to try to punish all of these strings with the same cadence. So here's the last down forward 3 string, and this one is super easy to punish. So because all of these strings operate on different cadences, what you want to do is you want to crouch and then crouch jab. If you try to crouch jab from standing, then what's going to happen is you'll get counter hit occasionally. So you want to crouch first and then down. And it's going to look like this. And regardless of what option she picks, this will always beat it. This will beat every single version of these strings. So you want to crouch first and then jab. If you try to do down back 1, then this will happen where you get counter hit. So that is the counterplay to that string. Next, we have her down 3, 4, 3. This is an incredibly annoying string, but luckily the first 2 hits don't jail. So even if you get hit by this low, you can actually duck and launch it. And the last hit is 30 frames, so you have a long time to launch this. This is one of the strings I would lab the most because if you cannot launch this string is ultra annoying because it's safe on block, and you can't step the last hit to either direction. This string is very, very annoying. Up next is down 4-1. This is one of the most annoying strings in the game in my opinion because it is a mix-up even on block. Now, it's not like Hwoarang and his flappy kicks where, you know, the mix-up is you getting launched. The mix-up is pretty tame, but this is pretty hard to punish even on block. So, for instance, if you block this and you hold the duck, it's a launch punishable. You always get a launch here every single time. The issue is that if your launcher doesn't high crush, then if you go too soon, this high will actually hit your launcher and you'll get counter hit. It's not a big deal if you get counter hit, but you don't get a launch, right? Now she can also sidestep cancel out of this, and if she sidestep cancels and then presses, then you get a launch no matter what. But the issue is if she sidestep cancels and then block, because you crouched, then waited to see if the high is coming out, she can actually block whatever your launch punish is, which again is extremely annoying. If you are a character that has a high crushing launcher, this becomes free and you never have to hold this mix up if you duck the low, but it is worth keeping in mind that this is very difficult to punish effectively. Anna has a very similar string and it works exactly the same way. So this is what's going to happen if she finishes the string even if you block it. You see here, he gets counter hit for +11. On normal hit, it's only +5, or it's only +6 rather. But, you know, she gets +11, which is huge. You can't step on +11. So now I'm here with Reina because her full crouch down 4-3 is a high crush launcher. So let's see what happens if I try to sidestep cancel. So I am holding back after the sidestep, and it doesn't matter. I get hit here every single time. I don't think it matters what direction I step to. Yeah, it doesn't matter what direction I step to. Beyond that, if I finish this game, she's in full crouch. So if you are a character that has a full crouch high crushing launcher, make sure that you use it because it will beat this string if you block it every single time. If you get hit by it, you can contest if she presses a button on immediate timing. The issue is if she presses nothing, she can just block. So I would be a little bit careful about contesting, but just so you know, this is actually -2 on hit. So her fastest option is 13 frames. So you can contest here with a 14 frame move and it will always work if she presses on immediate timing. Next is her back 2-2-2 string. So back 2-2 is one of Nina's 12 frame punishes. It's her worst one in my opinion, but that's besides the point. It's one of her 12 frame punishes and it's one of her best homing moves. On counter hit, the whole string is guaranteed because she gets its third hit and it wall splats. So that's really good stuff. The last hit is also a counter hit launcher, which is really, really good. Because the last hit is a counter hit launcher, pressing here is kind of scary, which means that this sidestep cancel, even on -10, is still like a kind of legit pressure strategy. Now, if you're playing a character that has a high crushing counter hit launcher, then you never have to hold this mix-up. So I'm going to have Lily do down back 3 after blocking the back 2-2, and we're going to see what happens here. So if she finishes the string, she gets knocked down into guaranteed follow-up. If she does sidestep press, then she gets hit. If she does sidestep into nothing, she also gets hit. It's not a good scenario for her. Now, this is one of Lily's best moves, and because of everything it does. So not every character is going to have a move like this, but if you do have a move like this, Asuka and Jun, for instance, they can Sabaki here, and all of Nina's fast options are punches, and it will absorb the last hit, right? So it's really, really good. Now, obviously, every character doesn't have a high crushing counter hit launcher that they can just use here every single time. So you can crouch jab, and that will beat literally everything. Now, the issue with that is that if you crouch jab, Nina can just do back 2-2 into low parry, and that will beat your crouch jab. But until a Nina player actually shows you back 2-2 into low parry, I would crouch jab literally every single time. But if you have either a launching punch parry like Jun and Asuka, or a high crushing counter hit launcher like Lily, then I would use that every single time. Next, we have back 3-4. This is a hit confirmable, delayable, mid-high string that guarantees a heat engager on normal hit. So if I have Lily set to block here, or if I have her set to not block rather, this is all guaranteed on normal. Now, when I say hit confirmable, I mean you can wait to see if the first hit comes out, and then you can add in the second hit after, and you have a pretty long time to do it. Like, that's a long time to confirm this. And you get a heat engager either way. Now, if you like max delay it, then it doesn't confirm. But again, you have a long time to confirm this. Additionally, the main reason that you don't want to press, the second hit is a counter hit launcher. So, me personally, I duck every single time. Because the second hit is a counter hit launcher, there's a lot of upside to just like delaying this anyways. So I would duck every single time. It's not worth trying to, you know, contest this. It's not worth it. I would duck every single time. Second hit's a counter hit launcher. The second hit on normal hit will still get the heat engager. Just duck every single time. Next, we're going to talk about all of the Nina's gun strings besides the 1-2-1, 1+2. We're not going to talk about that one because it follows a different rule. All of Nina's other gun strings, her high guns rather, they all follow the same rules. So we have her back 3+4, 1+2. We have her while standing 1, 1+2. We have her while standing 4-3, 1+2. And we have her CD 4-3, 1+2. All of these strings, before the gunshot comes out, you're allowed to duck. So after the back 3+4, you are allowed to duck. After the while standing 1, you're allowed to duck. So after this, you're allowed to duck. After this, you're allowed to duck. After this, you're allowed to duck. And you can just hold the duck because the second hit's a high. And after this, you're allowed to duck because, again, the second hit's a high. You do want to hold your duck because the gunshots last a while. So if you try to stand up too fast, then you will actually get clipped by the gunshots, especially if you're ripping a punch. When she's in heat, the gunshots actually last quite a bit longer. So you want to be very, very careful with trying to punish the heat string. You need to be very patient to make sure your punish actually goes through. Up next is her up forward 2-1. This is a mid-mid. Despite this first hit, she's literally hitting you in the face. This is a mid. This is a mid-mid, slightly delayable launcher. I don't really think this is a hit confirmable. You have to be like a really cracked to hit confirm this because like the delay isn't that much. Like it's like 10-15 frames. Like this is very hard to hit confirm, but very cracked players will be able to do so. So do keep that in mind. The first hit is -10. I would just never try to punish this at -10. It's not worth it. The second hit is -13 and there's no follow-up. So once you block the entire thing, it's -13. Finally, let's talk about her up forward 4-3-4. Now, this string is ultra annoying because there is only one thing that you can do in terms of counterplay here, and it is to low parry. If you don't low parry the second hit, then the third hit is guaranteed, and she is +5 in your face. So again, a common flow chart you'll see is this. You'll do up forward 4-3-4 into down 3-4-3, and if you do anything besides crouch jab, if you press any button rather, besides crouch jab, then you'll get counter hit for a million damage. Super annoying, but that's beside the point. The main reason that you want to low parry is that, let's say you actually block this. This is -5 on block. This is a safe low. I'm gonna have Lily try to punish this. She gets a launch for trying to punish, assuming that Nina steps in the correct direction. You step Lily's while standing 2 to the right, but yeah, she just dies you. Not good. So because this is a safe low, you have to low parry. I believe Anna can use manual chaos judgment to launch this, but you have to low parry it. Luckily, the nice thing about this string is that it does not jail. So even if you get clipped by the high, you can still low parry the low. So I would lab this and make sure that you are low parrying this reliably, because if you don't, it's a completely safe low. Alright, and that is going to wrap it up for Nina. This character does have some pretty clear weaknesses and very obvious ones, especially in lower ranks where the players just aren't good enough to compensate for their weaknesses. But as you get higher and higher rank, this character just gets more and more powerful. It wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the season, people thought that Nina was top 1. Personally, I still think that Brian's better, but there is a very strong argument for Nina still, you know, she was one of the best characters season 1. There's a very good argument for her still being the best character of season 2. And it's kind of hard to argue with that. Her tools are just really insane if the Nina player is good enough to wield them. Now, how many Nina players are there that are good enough to wield her tools? Right now, it seems like it's just Arsenal and Ash, at least on the international stage, but that doesn't mean this character isn't nuts. Perfectly played Nina is gonna be pretty impossible to defend against, because she's gonna be able to cover all of her weaknesses by just picking better moves. But yeah, that is Nina. I'm not sure what character I'm going to work on next. Right now, I'm thinking Claudio, just because he's relatively simple, but also super strong. So be on the lookout for that video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.